Welcome, everybody, to episode 1 of the King's Game podcast. I'm your host, King Narakami. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know this is under weird circumstances that I am doing this episode 1, pre recorded, but with everything that's happening in the world right now, this winter storm and everything, we just had to change it up a little bit just in case. So I'm glad y'all decided to join me today. And here I got some really special guests, and we're going to be talking about Persona 5 Strikers. We're going to be doing a little release party here, so let me go ahead and introduce my guest right here. You may know this man from David Cast JRPG's YouTube channel. It's David. How you doing today, man?
Hey, what's up, dude? Glad to be on. I'm doing great. I just finished that little Nintendo Direct, which was interesting, and ready to talk about Strikers, man. Should be a lot of fun.
Oh man, we could do a whole podcast on just the direct by itself, but we'll save that for another time. How about that? Um,
Absolutely.
Definitely. Also joining me today, you might know him from YouTube as well, Strain42. How you doing today, John?
Marvelous hello everyone. I'm doing just fine. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm excited to talk about Strikers. I'm ready for the release, and I'm ready to have some fun with y'all today. Maybe we can cut up and clown about the New Games Expo and everything. That'll be really fun.
I'm not gonna lie, just because David mentioned it, I'm also still very hyped from that Nintendo Direct, but I know today we're just here to talk about Strikers.
Oh,
So I'm
hey, and if we somehow get on the topic of the direct for a little bit, that's okay too, because I know people want to hear about that too. It's literally the day after the direct that this is going to release, so people are hyped about that. So if we get into that conversation a little bit, that's fine. And also joining me from the Midnight Channel is Kuro. How you doing today, man?
Hey, thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate you the invitation. It's good to be on the first episode of your podcast. I'm super excited to be here and talk about some strikers. I've been holding on to like trying to talk to people about strikers. I'm like, have you played strikers? Are you ready for strikers? So thank you so much for having me here.
Oh, of course, and thank you all so much for being here. I know this was kind of last minute because of the storm and everything, and I'm still a little disappointed we can't do this live, but thank you, all three of you, for being here today. So let's just jump right into it. Today we're going to be talking about the release of Persona 5 Strikers. It will be releasing digitally this Friday. We'll get into talking about how much I hate that, because we won't be getting it Friday. I'm sure most of us are getting the physical edition on Tuesday, but we'll get into that conversation in a little bit.
Did you mean
So,
the best version?
yeah, the best version, the one that can't be
Okay.
taken away from us because of a
I
license
just,
issue.
I just wanted to clarify.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I assume all of y'all are getting the physical version, correct?
I am, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting all the editions.
But oh man, I'm not surprised. Wait, you're getting the Steam one as well, Kiro?
Yeah, I got everything. I even offered another copy for David to get him because he's in Canada, so he doesn't get that metal case. And I was like, you want
Right.
me to order you one, but with shipping and everything, it'll be just so much more
Yeah.
extra that we figure now. But yeah, I got one of each.
All right, that's
I
that.
also got one of each. I just didn't buy the digital version. Like I got a Switch physical, PS4 physical for me, and I bought the Steam version for my giveaway winner. So.
What about
And I got the Steelbook PS4 one from Best Buy, so that'll be coming on Tuesday. And then I pre-ordered the Switch physical from GameStop because I want to get that pin. Um,
Oh
I
man,
do kind of want to get the Steam one just to like support Megaten games coming to Steam like that. I don't know though. I haven't
as
decided.
I just wanted to because I'm sure we're gonna get a bunch of mods for PC. So that was like the only purpose why I even bought a PC version. I'm like PC mods are coming at some point,
oh
and that
ma-
gets me excited.
oh man, Fast
I
is
was
gonna be
making a
doing
joke
God's
that
work.
I was making a joke that someone is going to turn Makoto's persona into like Thomas the Tank Engine. So
I'm there
I'm
for
looking
that.
forward I'm
I'm
looking
there
forward to
for
that.
that. As soon as they do it, I'll
Someone
go
is
with
going to
it.
turn Johanna into Thomas the Tank Engine. Guarantee it.
Well, I'm sure we'll be talking about the pre-order bonuses and stuff later once we talk about the actual Western game release. But for now, let's go and hop into the history of Persona 5 Scramble, if y'all don't mind, right quick. Let's see. Persona 5 Scramble was teased as Persona 5S in December 2018. Now,
Sort of 5 Switch, baby.
yeah, basically, yeah. What about Persona 5P, Persona 5 Pinball that VC kept on mentioning last night on the your podcast, David?
Where is that at? No, honestly, I was saying that as a joke, but that was the big deal. When we saw the trademark for P5S, everyone was like, okay, so that's Persona 5 Switch.
Right.
What could be P5R? But everyone was sure about S being Switch. So, hey, the reception to the first trailer was really bad. I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a ton of dislikes on it. And now,
I was
a couple of
one of
months
those.
later, everyone was crying for a Western version. So.
Yeah.
I was one of those dislikes. I was so disappointed when they announced the game. To me, a Persona Warriors games was like the worst idea they could ever come up with. I was like, man, that is such a bad idea. I hate Warriors games. Like I still do to this day. Like Strikers didn't change my mind on Warriors game, by the way. But I was like so disappointing on it. I was like, shit, a Warriors game, Persona Warriors game. I was so mad.
So can I take a moment to be like my usual contrarian hipster self?
Go ahead.
So I remember back with P5S when everybody was like, oh, it's Persona 5 Switch, and I remember I was actually getting a lot of flack from people because I was basically like, well, no, like they wouldn't give a Switch port of Persona 5 its own letter. I was like, that's not usually how patents or copyrights work. And people were like, shut up, you're wrong. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be like a jerk. I'm like, that's just usually not how it works. And then I was also one of the people who was very, very excited that we were getting a Warriors game because I've actually been saying, I think the earliest tweet I found of this was like 2016 of me going like, I would love a Mega 10 Warriors game. I will admit I didn't really want a Persona one. I thought it would have fit better with like just demons and Megami Tensei in general, not specifically Persona. But I was like, it's Mega 10 Musa. I'll take it. So I was pretty hyped for it from day one.
Well, to be fair, with everyone thinking it was Persona 5 Switch, there was also around that time a leak on BestBuy.com, and they actually leaked. I think that was real too. They leaked Persona 5.
I do remember that. I admit I was one of the people there who was buying into the hype. That was like, I was like, well, yeah, it's leaked on Best Buy, and then I remembered that, yeah, that doesn't always confirm something, but.
Do you guys remember that leak particularly? There was another game that leaked for that Best Buy leak at the same time as Persona 5, another Switch game.
What was that?
Metroid Prime Trilogy.
Oh,
I think it's one of the
yeah.
first time that we heard about it. It's not out yet, but this was also part of the Best Buy leak.
I forgot about that. Well, the main one I remembered, it wasn't Best Buy, but it was like the Danganronpa trilogy for Switch was leaked by like, I think it was like Amazon Japan or something. And that didn't happen either.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
As much as I would love Danganronpa on Switch, we discussed this a little bit last night on David's podcast. If they didn't do it last year for Danganronpa's 10th anniversary, I don't think they're going to do it anytime soon, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
not wrong.
I totally forgot about that Danganronpa leak though for Switch. But yeah, anyways, so they weren't technically wrong when everyone thought it was Persona 5 Switch, because technically, here we are just a couple of years later, and Persona 5 Striker Scramble, whatever you want to call it, is releasing for Switch. So technically we did get Persona 5 on Switch, but not in the way that anyone imagined, especially people like Mr. King Goomba on Twitter, who is always port begging.
Oh God!
You always see him in the Twitter comments.
I think I finally just ended up muting that guy. Like I was just like, I'm tired of it.
It's gotten funny to me by now, honestly. I mean, I expect
just ironic as hell. Yeah.
I find it funny when I'm there before he is and I don't see his comment, because I expect to see him comment like the second Atlas tweets about something. So I always think that's just funny. But anyways, moving on to a little bit after it was teased as Persona 5S, we finally got the reveal trailer at the Persona Super Live 2019 concerts, and it was a little different than what the final game ended up as. It looked like, to me, at the time, it looked like a very generic Warriors game. It didn't really appeal. It doesn't have much of the style that the game does today. What did you guys think about that? Do you guys remember that trailer? The first trailer that was
Yeah,
shown?
that's
Yeah,
a really
I
good point.
that was
I do,
what I
yeah.
was talking about. I just didn't feel like I was gonna like this. Like immediately Warriors, and then I saw the little bit of gameplay that we saw, which wasn't really much. Really, actually want to say that it was super deceptive. Now that I'm thinking about it, looking back on what they announced, because this game is absolutely not Warriors, and I'm sure we're gonna talk into it later. But it's 100% not a Warriors Musu game. But the initial impression of the initial trailer kind of gave that vibe. I don't know if they weren't even sure what they were doing at that point, because a lot of these trailers turn out to be like a concept for them to kind of get into an idea of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Um, and in this case, it was like deceptive because the game is not. It doesn't play anything like a Warriors game. It has the hack and slash, but it doesn't really have the Muso style of gameplay or anything, which is
Oh no.
interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of
I
like
thought-
it's like a hybrid almost.
It's
Yeah.
a certain percentage of it to me feels like I've played a few Koei Tecmo Muso games. I've played Attack on Titan, Attack on Titan 2. That was very hack and slash kind of. You gotta hit all the enemies, and it's fast paced and everything. There's a lot going on the screen that sometimes. I've played a little bit of Hyrule Warriors as well, even though I'm not that big of a Zelda fan. But it's not really a Muso game whatsoever. It has some aspects of it, but for the most part, it's just a Persona action RPG to me.
The
Yeah,
first trailer, to be honest, to me, seemed like Fire Emblem clones, Fire Emblem Warrior, but with Persona 5
yeah,
characters.
that's exactly what I thought.
Like
Yeah,
completely bland Warriors game. This is what it looked like at first. I'm
yeah,
glad that it's not that at the end of the day, but this is what it looked like at first. So I was like, oh boy, here we go.
yeah. It was really disappointing. Whenever I first saw this first announcement, I was like, oh man, no. But no, that's not the case, and I'm very happy about it.
John, what was
Yeah,
your initial reaction to that trailer?
So I was very like I said, like a Megaten Musou game is something I've actually been saying I wanted for years. So I was definitely pretty hyped for it. And it's weird because it's like I'm not even necessarily a big Musou fan. I think I played like one Dynasty Warriors game ever. I think I played like one of the Gundam Warrior games when I was in like high school. And then I played a little bit of Hyrule Warriors, and that's really my entire experience. But I always thought that like Megaten would do well with like waves of those like Conoco demon designs. So I was really excited for it, and then like because I am very very predictable, I think the one thing that really caught my attention at the end was we got that like one shot of Sophia, and I was just like, all right, we got a new character. I was like, hopefully she'll have a persona. I don't think we knew that right away. Because to me, that is, for any spinoff, that is all I need to be happy. I'm like, give me a new character, give me a new persona design, and I'm usually pretty content. So I was just kind of happy to see that overall. But
Atlas loves adding girls to like expansions of like their current games or a spin-off of a game. I mean, you look at Persona 4 Golden, they added Marie. You look at Persona 4 Dancing All Night, they added Kanamine. Persona 5 for Royal, they added Kasumi.
yeah, we got Yoshizawa, we got Ren in Q.
Right.
I loved Ren, by the way. Ren was adorable. I don't even like Q, or I'm sorry, not Ren. Ray.
Right. Yeah.
I got there.
And even in P3P, we got a female protagonist.
Yeah.
So
And Vincent, who's not Vincent.
yeah, for real. Oh man, don't even get me started. That is Vincent.
It is Vincent, but it isn't.
But it is Vincent.
Yes, but it is.
But it's
That's
not.
that's gonna be one of those things that's always gonna bother me so much. How Alice is never gonna have a timeline for any of these games. Like finding a timeline for Shin Megami Tensei games is a nightmare, and then trying to do the same thing for Persona is still pretty bad. So like they're never gonna do it.
I mean, Catherine's technically a Megaton game, right?
I've never considered it one myself personally. I know some people do, but I've never seen Catherine as Megaten.
I don't think the creators see it either. That's why they keep saying that Vincent is not on Persona 3.
Right. Because I remember when Catherine, like way back when it first came out, they were saying like they were comparing it to like an indie film. So I always thought the whole point it was just kind of for it to be its own standalone thing. Its own standalone thing that they remade and then ported to the Switch at New Game Plus. And sorry, I'm getting ahead of
Oh
the
no,
topic here. But...
Speaking of expansions, another one of the Atlas adding new girls to it. I mean, we also got Ren and Catherine Full Body as well, a new girl as well. So Atlas loves their new girls, and I have a feeling that Sophia will appeal to a lot of people. I know she's probably going to be really beloved by the fandom.
I already love her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think her voice actor for the English dub is really good as well. So, from the previews I've heard and everything, she sounds exactly like I thought she was going to sound in the dub.
Yeah, I haven't. I've watched the trailer and I probably have heard like voice clips from her, but I don't think like I couldn't tell you what she sounds like to me. I haven't really. Cause I do this thing where it's like usually when I decide I'm gonna buy a game, which obviously with Strikers I decided a long time ago, I tend to not really watch a lot of the trailers because it's like I already know I'm gonna buy it. I don't want to see something that I don't want to see, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, especially with Persona trailers, because this is weird for me. Atlas is always like so picky as far as like us as content creators talking about spoilers and stuff. But Persona 3, Persona 5 Royal and Persona 5 Strikers in Japan had major spoilers on their trailers. Like, for example, Persona 5 Royal, the trailers had Akechi scenes. You guys know what I'm talking about at this point, right?
Oh yeah.
He had those scenes, and then Persona 5 Strikers, some of the trailers had like some of the later bosses, and I was like, this is crazy, but okay, still cool. But spoilers.
No, it's okay. If you're listening to this podcast right now, chances are you've already beat Persona 5. So, I mean, and look at the Persona 5, the animation Blu-ray box cover. Have y'all seen that cover for the Blu-ray box?
Yeah, you're right.
I have not actually.
Okay, there's literally a picture of Akechi with a very like crazy face pointing a gun at you.
Oh.
On the cover of the Blu-ray.
Oh jeez.
So honestly, we'll talk about spoilers we won't talk about Strikers spoilers. Even I haven't beat the entire game yet, but we'll definitely talk Persona 5 spoilers. So feel free, and if you're scared that you haven't, if you're scared that you're going to be spoiled on Persona 5, you can go ahead and click off the podcast right now and come back and listen to it whenever you can after you finish the game. But anyways, moving on, guys, right quick. Persona 5 Scramble releases on February 20th, 2020. And at the time of this recording, it is February 17th, 2021, and we are still waiting for the official release of Persona 5 Strikers here in the West. How crazy is that it took them a year to actually get this game out here?
Yeah, I mean, like, I knew it was going to be, like, a little delayed because of, like, you know, with everything that's going on. And then when they announced the Steam version, I was like, okay, that probably added a little extra time. So it's like, I'm trying to be, like understanding for the whole thing. But it is so weird that it's like, I thought we were going to have this game in, like, I was like, okay, maybe, like, October by the latest. I was just like October, November, maybe.
But we'll totally talk about all of that if you guys don't mind holding off on that conversation, because we are going to because we're going to talk about all the times that Atlas had missed opportunities to actually reveal and talk about the game, if you don't mind.
What date do you have at this point?
What do you mean?
What date are we on? You mentioned a date earlier.
The release of Persona 5 Scramble in Japan was February 20th, 2020.
Oh, okay. I guess we can do that. Just kind of like a little bit of I don't know if you want to mention this or not, but have you guys seen the interview that the Morgana voice actor did with the other voice actors about Persona 5 Strikers?
Oh yeah, there's been a few of those that she's done.
Yeah, she talked about the development of the game and why it was delayed as many times as it did, so to speak. And they actually didn't start working on the dub for the game until like June, like May, June.
Yeah,
That's
Cassandra Lee
crazy.
Moore said that they started right around when quarantine started for everybody, and she was literally recording in her closet because that was a whole new experience for them. They had to get everything set up at their houses and everything.
Right, yeah.
But to me, it's kind of crazy that they didn't start earlier, with the process of localizing the game. I mean, you could say, the game was just finished February of last year and released in Japan, but surely they knew they were going to localize it here in the West, so surely they would have spent more time, before quarantine to actually localize and produce the game. I don't know. What's your guys' opinion on that?
It really just depends on what you're thinking about. Personally, I feel like the rule of thumb has always been like the Western release takes about like 6 to 8 months to
Right.
come to the US. That's always been the way that we had. So I wasn't too surprised. I guess I just been in the loop with Atlas game for so long that I wasn't like, oh man, where is the game not releasing right now or anything like that. But it's just again being me that has been a fan for such a long time that I wasn't even sweating it when they were announcing. I was like, it'll come at some point. But that's just me. I guess many other people's had like bigger expectations. I don't have a lot of expectations these days for Atlas West.
What about you guys?
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah. I mean, I remember like, because I've been following these games for a long time, and it was like the last time a game took like this long was like 2009 with like Persona 3 Portable, because that was about 9 months, and I remember some people were like, oh, we're just not getting it, because that was like I think it was like it came out in Japan in November of like 2009, and then we got it like the next July. So I remember there were a lot of people that were just like, oh, we're not getting it. And I was like, oh, of course we're going to get it. It's Persona. And then we did. And then a few years later, kind of the same thing with the Eternal Punishment PSP. I was like, of course we're going to get it. It's Persona. But then we didn't. Strikers or Scramble, I was never worried that we weren't going to get it. But at the same time, I was, yeah, admittedly, just being very impatient. I was like, I know we're going to get it, but would have been nice to have it already
Right.
instead of over a year after. um yeah, it because I remember like once upon a time Atlas West or Atlas USA or whatever was like the company for like, oh, there's some obscure JRPG that we don't know if it's going to get localized. Atlas will probably do it, and they were releasing like all these fantastic games on top of regular like Megaton games, and now it just kind of feels like it's like Atlas mostly just localizes their own stuff, which is fine. But I was thinking like if they're gonna do that, that they would be able to do it faster, if that makes like,
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I think you and I are on the same page on this. I feel like at this point, Atlas has or Persona and maybe Shin Megami Tensei, they just like grown so much bigger than Atlas is. And I feel like at this point, like games should be releasing at the same time worldwide. There's absolutely no reason why they shouldn't.
David, any thoughts from you
Yeah.
before we move on and we go over some of the events that happened between February 20th, 2020 and today?
Yeah, well, for me personally, honestly, I was not worried. Again, just like John mentioned, I wasn't worried. I knew that we were going to get Scramble in the West at some point. I was not, like, even to this day, that might be a bit controversial. I'm not extremely hyped. It's not like I cannot wait to play it. I mean, want to play it, but I'm not dying to play it either. And I knew that we were going to get it because P5 is like their big success, and Strikers is obviously a game that had a kind of an important budget in it for Atlas at least. So of course they were going to invest a bit just to localize it. That was like in my opinion, a small investment for big return, big revenue at the end of the day. So, but again, just as you guys mentioned, it was damn too long for no reason before we got news. So
Oh, definitely. And let's go ahead and go over that time period that we had to wait very impatiently, at least I did, until then. So, as we said, Persona 5 Scramble was released February 20th, 2020. And so after that, fans were clamoring, okay, we'll go ahead and get this 6 months from now. So on May 20th, 2020, the New Games Plus Expo lineup was officially announced. It was a new thing. It was going to be a digital-only event since we weren't going to get E3 in 2020 because of all the circumstances surrounding it. And part of that lineup included Koei Tecmo and Atlus. They were both announced for the show that they were going to come present some games. So, do you guys remember that announcement when New Games Plus Expo was first announced? What was your first thought on that?
I remember definitely thinking that was yeah, like a lot of people, I thought that's when we were going to get Strikers, because the one thing I remember kind of thinking was I knew they weren't going to talk about it until after Royal came out, and Royal came out what, April, right? Like April of last year.
It was
late March,
very very late March, after everything had just shut down.
Right, yeah. So I was so I knew we weren't going to hear about it like in February or in early March. I was like, they're going to wait until after Royal comes out, and then after Royal, I was like, okay, it's been a little while, and hey, there's this New Game Plus show, and Alice is going to talk about stuff. Like it really just seemed like a no-brainer to me. I was like,
it was literally Atlus and Koei Tecmo together. Koei Tecmo is the one that pretty much made the game in Japan. So we're all thinking, at least my thought process was, okay, there's a big reason for that. Sure, there's other releases for Atlus, some minor releases, later on in the summer, which we'll get to here in a second when we talk about the actual expo. But to me, it just seemed like a no-brainer. Royal just released. It's been a few months. They're going to announce it for like a summer release. Bam. Perfect timing. But what about, I want to hear David and Kuro's thought process on that as well. What did you guys think about the New Games Plus Expo when it was first announced?
Oh, boy.
And I'm sure I'm going to talk for you, Kuro, as well, because we were talking about
cool stream this together, so
yeah,
we share this experience.
we shared the same idea. We went into it thinking, all right, Scramble announcement, here we go, baby. It was 100% in our mind. At least it was in mine. And, well, obviously it didn't happen. So
the hype was unreal at the time. Everyone had entered quarantine. I was losing my mind. I know everyone else was. So that was kind of going to be a comfort for me. Okay, I'm going to have a new Persona game to play while this mess around, the world is settled. So you and Kuro had the same opinion. So let's go ahead and jump to the actual show itself. So the New Games Plus Expo happens on June 23rd, 2020. And Atlus comes onto the stage, and everyone's holding their breath, and we're going to be like, oh my god, Scramble, we're going to get it. And we get gameplay of Catherine Full Body for the Switch, a whole-ass 30-minute segment of a guy that's not even good at the game, playing it, and then nothing. It just cuts off. I want to hear your guys' opinions on this.
By the way, before we even get into all this, I just want to this is a message for Atlas. Atlas, if you ever want really bad gameplay for Catherine, which it seems like you do, let me know. I'm really bad at it. I died in the easiest difficulty. So hit me up. You got my email. If you want bad gameplay, you got me, bro. I got you. All right, I'm done.
Can I? Okay, so obviously my thing was like 30 minutes of Catherine footage. I was just like, we've already seen this. It's like Catherine Full Body has been out in America. It's like, I know it's a Switch port, but I'm like, the game's already been out here for like a year.
Let's not forget, it released 3 times. The original Catherine, then we got Catherine Classic on the PC, and then we got Catherine Full Body on the PS4. So it already had released 3 times at that point.
Can I'm sorry, this is a little derailing. Just while we're on the subject of Catherine, can I very, very briefly go over my history with Catherine, because I just think it's very funny to me.
Go ahead.
Okay, Siri just turned on for some reason. So my history with Catherine is, like many people, I learned about it through the Man Drinking Alone, and it was just I was very excited for it, following all the news. Made a Japanese PSN account to play the demo, played the demo when it came out in English. Y'all can look this up yourself. I'm actually in one of the trailers for the Western release, the Catherine, I think it's Are You Committed trailer. I'm in that trailer with my really bad 2011 goatee. And then the game came out, I bought the special edition, I was so excited. I played 20 minutes, and that's it. I haven't touched the game in over a decade.
Oh man.
I never got very far into Catherine. I was like I was riding the hype train the whole time until it came out, and then when it finally did, I just like never really got that far into it. I never got super invested in it. Yeah.
Because of the gameplay, or
it wasn't even that. Like, I mean, yes, because I'm just bad at puzzle games in general. No, like I actually like I liked the idea of the gameplay and everything. I don't know, just something about it never really hooked me. And then like when Full Body was announced, I actually kind of was excited again. I was like, oh yeah, man, wow, okay, new Catherine, literally a new Catherine added to the game. I was like, all right, maybe I'll finally give it a chance. And again, this is so petty, I'm sorry. It just took too long to come out. It just took, like, from the day Catherine was announced, Catherine Full Body, to when it launched, not even just in America. Like it was like almost like what 2.5 years, I think, before it came stateside from its initial announcement. It was like it was featured at like 2 E3s in a row.
Mm-hmm.
It was just I just did not care. Like I just all interest kind of dropped off.
So that made the gameplay at the New Games Plus Expo that piss you off even more, I'm sure, because of that.
Not even like it. I was well beyond angry. I was just not really apathetic. Just bored. I'll just it's the simplest word to look at it. I was just watching this. I'm like, I just don't care. I'm just bored of it at this point.
You should see. We did me and David. We did a live reaction for this. Like it's still on YouTube. I never took it down, but man, our faces when we find it. And the funniest thing is not even that. They had two. This is when they had two presentations. Like they had one, and they had another one like an hour later.
No, that's Tokyo Game Show.
Oh wow, okay. Well, we experienced that twice apparently. So yeah,
Tokyo Game Show was a 6-hour garbage show.
Oh yeah.
And New Game Plus Expo was 30 minutes of garbage.
So we're waiting, and the funniest thing is like we're there just for Persona, right? Like nothing announced is like interesting. Like most of it, like I'll be honest, guys. Like I know some people give me shit for this, but I don't care for indie games. I don't play indie games. Like I'm not an indie person. Like I support some indie games every once in a while, but I know. But
have you seen my top 10 games of any year? Yeah,
that's what I said. That's why I said. Like I'm the contrary to a lot of people. Like especially people that play RPGs. A lot of them love indie games. I'm not into indie games. Like a lot of them are like just not things that attract me too much. And it's just a different, I just like all the kind of games, and so I'm sitting through every announcement. And I'm like, man, I really just want them to announce something from Atlas-san, and the logo pops up, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go, and it's like it's Catherine for 30 minutes, and I'm like, boy.
Hey, dude, I rewatched I wanted to have my reaction on a video recently. I don't remember which video of mine precisely, but I wanted to have my reaction, and I looked back on it, and I was like, until the last minute, I was like, here we go, scramble trailer, here we go, and then that's it for today at New Game Plus Expo. Thank you for watching. I was like, oh my god, and everyone in the live chat was like, edge, because Catherine. So, oh, dude, I swear, it was a great time, but oh my god, a real waste of time.
It was great in the sense of I will always the show itself is not memorable, but I will always remember the show because we got 30 minutes of a game that had already been released 3 times. And it was just so mind-blowing to me.
Honestly, it's just like if Nintendo were to, like, how they announced Skyward Sword today? If tomorrow we would get like a Skyward Sword Direct with 30 minutes of gameplay of someone who can't play the game. It's the same thing. It doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that?
But, anyways, moving on from that disaster. By the way, I don't know about y'all. Before we move on from the New Games Plus Expo, they just announced a lineup the other day for the 2021 edition. I think it's safe to say that none of us are going to be covering that.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Not really.
Shrine, what about you?
And you know what? If there was a freaking Sega and Atlas logo on this darn thing, we would have to stream it.
Oh, for the New Game Plus Expo. I mean, I'm definitely gonna watch it because I do like indie games and I am excited to see what's
Right.
gonna be announced. But I honestly feel like I might be a little kinder to this one because like this one, I'm really not going in with any expectations. It's not like last year where I was like, oh man, they're gonna finally talk about this big game that I want. I'm just like, all right, they'll talk about stuff. Maybe I'll care, maybe I won't. I'm kind of much more loose or open to it than because
Well,
it's like because I'm not expecting anything. I'm just like, all right, I'll watch it. I'm probably not gonna like do any content or coverage for it, but I'll just kind of watch it and be sit there with some snacks.
Fair enough. I see that. If I cared into like anything indie or anything, I'll be like, yeah, I'll watch it. You know, it's not like everything was bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't like anything, but yeah, I'm sure somebody out there who saw a game and was like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited for this!" But
Can I make a confession? So aside from Full Body, obviously, and then I remember like I think Natsume announced some game that surprised me because I forgot they did more than fake Harvest Moons and ignoring Metabots. But it was like the only other game I remember because it's the only one I bought was like Pretty Princess Party for the Switch. I bought, which is it's like some weird like Animal Crossing mini game thing. It's not great, but like I didn't hate it or anything. But yeah, it's like I struggled to remember like any of the games that were really talked about at the New Game Plus Expo last year, except for
I remember that Pretty Princess game because I made fun of it for like days.
oh yeah, so did I. But I was like that is the dumbest game that I'm going to 100% complete. Which I didn't. I got bored long before then, but
and this is not to say that
I,
the New Games Plus Expo is bad. I don't want it to come out saying, I
oh no,
hated
not
it.
at all.
I think our expectations were just so high because E3 had been canceled and we were just clamoring to have something,
Definitely.
So we didn't really know. That was the first time, at least to my knowledge, I think that was the first time that event ever happened, so we didn't really know what to expect ourselves. But when you see a company like Atlas there, you're going to be expecting, oh my god, this might actually be something, worth watching. This might be like a big announcement.
And I mean, like, not like I feel like it was kind of in an unfair place too, like the New Game Plus Expo, because it was like it was not only okay, E3's been canceled, so we're gonna latch onto this. It was also at that point, it was like, hey, we haven't had a Nintendo Direct since last September, so it was like we were in the drought of that, and the future drought of no E3. So I feel like from both sides there was a lot of pressure on the New Game Plus Expo.
Yep.
Also,
Plus, it was a new thing. No one knew what to expect, and
Yeah,
we
yeah.
saw all those big names, and everyone was like, "Oh, awesome!" Every single time that we're disappointed for an event, we are the problem
Yeah,
because our
no,
expectations are too high. Like a bunch of people were even myself after the direct today. I was like, "Okay, there was a bunch of cool announcements," but in the back of my mind, I was like, "Okay, no Megaton. That's kind of disappointing." But that's because of my dumbass. I was expecting Megaton, so it's my fault.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, your expectations were very. I feel like our expectations for Nocturne in today's Direct were very. I think they were very realistic. So
Oh, yeah, they were, but still.
Nocturne seemed reasonable. I know some people that are like, "Oh man, we're gonna get like tons of Shin Megami Tensei 5 news."
No.
And I was like, "No, like yeah, I never thought we'd see that one." But I thought Nocturne was reasonable. Okay. Also, so I have to ask this, going back to kind of what I was saying about not remembering the New Game Plus Expo. So Koei Tecmo was there last year, right? Like they
Yeah.
were.
right.
What did they talk about?
I
even
don't
remember
know.
what their.
I do not know
I
whatsoever.
don't remember. I don't think they had
Yeah,
anything
like-
that big, to be honest.
Because it wasn't the Hyrule Warriors, and I was like, I cannot remember like what they would have talked about. Okay, so sorry, I was just seeing if anyone knew.
I think I was so
I don't
fixated
remember.
on Scramble being released that I just didn't care after that point. It's not to say that I was really salty, but I was just so disappointed that I was like, I really just don't care anymore. I feel like I've wasted my time here, and so I just kind of took my ball and went home.
Yeah, I was a little salty.
Yeah, me too. I agree.
Anyways, getting off of this, just completely bashing the New Games Plus Expo. So after that happens, we had another thing, another show It was the Tokyo Game Show. Happens late September 2020. I don't think anyone here expected to see Strikers, or at least a localization of Strikers. There is this fixation on the internet that people were really, really sad that the local English localization for Scramble wasn't announced, but at the same time, it's the Tokyo Game Show.
Yeah, it's a Japanese event. What the?
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't make any
Right,
sense.
yeah, I agree. I wasn't expecting that either, so I was more disappointed that they didn't talk anything. And Atlas, was Atlas even there?
Atlas was there,
or
it was Sega.
MP5.
Sega and Atlas were. I think they were advertised together as doing one thing, and they had this whole like virtual room or something that you could visit.
Yeah, it was mostly Sega, and then it was like Atlas was like, "Oh, we're here too for like an hour or 2 hours or whatever it was." But I think it was mostly like a Sega thing.
Yeah, I completely blocked that off my mind now. The disappointment was just too great.
So
I was expecting them to like give us a bunch of info about Nocturne, because Nocturne was coming out the month after in Japan, so it made sense. And I was like, okay, we'll get a bunch of info on Nocturne, bunch of gameplay, and maybe we'll have a trailer for SMT5. But even Nocturne, there was almost nothing.
They just re-showed the trailer, didn't they?
They re-showed the same trailer for SMT5.
Yeah,
the one from July. They did show it. My heart skipped a beat when they showed it.
Yeah, I remember that because I was literally there with you when we were reacting to that, and I was like, I was like, the Atlas logo showed up. I was like, oh my god, we're gonna get some, and then suddenly, it's not it.
Same trailer.
Can I be honest? I don't think I watched it. I think I was like so pessimistic. Like I don't remember why. I was either like just feeling super pessimistic or something. I was like, you know what? If they show something, I'll catch it later. I was just like, I just did not want to watch.
It was early in the morning, their presentation as well.
Oh yeah, that might have been it too.
Yeah, I listened to it on my commute to work.
Yeah, I remember it was pretty early. I remember that too.
Okay, yeah, I just remember. Yeah, there have been a few years where I watched like Tokyo Game Show stuff live. I didn't last year. I was just like, I'll pass. I'll check it out later.
Yeah, there's a big time difference. Like even the direct today, it started at 7 a.m. Japan time.
Which is weird.
Oh yeah.
Which is weird. That's
I don't like directs being at 5 p.m. Like I know some people are like, oh, I gotta wake up at 6 a.m. It's like I would rather do that. I would rather wake up super early and just get this like amazing news. Because I was just here all day, and I was just like, all right, well, I'm just waiting for this direct to start.
Well, here's the thing.
I got almost 12 hours to kill.
I literally had to bring up the YouTube stream and just listen to the audio on the way home from work. So it's not like I could see anything. So I just don't understand the whole 5 p.m. direct thing. But that Tokyo Game Show is just something I wanted to really cover right quick. I know some people were really mad that Atlas didn't show a localization for Scramble at the Tokyo Game Show.
They were just being that's just an unreasonable expectation on their part. I feel.
Yep.
There wasn't much shown. There was a Hatsune Miku mobile game from Sega and some other little stuff. I don't even remember what was even announced there. Do you guys remember?
I want to say I think they did announce some like D2 stuff, which was kind of cool. Like some D2 event, I think was announced. Yeah, I don't
they
remember.
Closed out with they closed the show with the Virtual Fighter teaser.
I remember that.
That was like their big thing for the show.
Oh yeah, and didn't they also talk about like I might be wrong here? Did they talk about Yakuza at all? Was that like around the time?
No, I don't. They did not.
Have long since being released.
Okay, that's right.
By the way, John, are you a big Yakuza fan by chance?
I am now. So Yakuza was one of those games, like I was actually living in Japan when it came out. So like I'd go to the department stores and see like signs and stuff for it, and my friends would get copies of it, and they'd like back in 2005 or whatever, they're like, you gotta play this, it's great. And I was just even like watching footage and clearly seeing it wasn't the case. My mind bought into that thing of it just being like Japanese Grand Theft Auto. And I was just like, I don't care. And by the way, it's not.
It's not. It's the furthest thing from that.
To anyone listening, it's absolutely not. And eventually, it was like 2018, like early 2018. I was eventually like, all right, I'll finally give it a try. I bought Kiwami on a whim, and just fell in love. Like it is absolutely probably like top 5, maybe even top 3 game series for me now. I love Yakuza.
Yes.
Like,
and you play Like a Dragon, I'm sure.
I have. I haven't beaten it yet, but I've gotten pretty far into it.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Like the Dragon is like my favorite game of last year.
I will say though, it's as a Persona fan, it was so weird playing this game with a cop named Adachi.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Like the whole time, I'm just like, they couldn't have given him any other name.
I half expected him to go buy a bunch of cabbages from the store or something by that time too.
Yeah. Nanba was my favorite character, by the way. I just want to throw that out. I love Nanba.
Nanba has such a good storyline. I was like, yeah, every time sometimes they wrote him so well, like so realistic. I feel like, sometimes you get like this arc, or like I don't want to really spoil anything.
Right.
His story really like shocked me, but when he comes around and everything just kind of fits into place, I was like, yeah, like it's just so realistic. I love the way that I wrote the character.
So if I may, to kind of steer our conversation back to P5S here, I do just have a quick question. I want to get y'all's opinion because I know we've kind of bounced back and forth a little bit here. So Persona 5 Scramble, the Phantom Strikers, localized here, of course, is just Persona 5 Strikers. Was anyone else like I know I get why they did it, I do, but was anyone else a little disappointed that it's not Scramble? Like I don't know, I loved the word Scramble. And it's like, it's so weird to me to just refer to it as Strikers.
I keep getting tongue-tied.
I agree.
I keep on getting tongue-tied.
Totally
I keep on finding myself still calling it Scramble to this day because I was just so used to calling it Scramble when in the year wait that we had for the localization. So I don't know about y'all, but
I mean, I had a feeling they were going to drop the subtitle. I was like, no matter what they localize it as, it's just going to be Persona 5 something. I was like, they'll either keep Scramble or just call it Strikers. And it was one of those things where it's like your heart versus your brain. I was like, in my heart, I want them to call it Scramble, but my brain knows they'll probably call it Strikers.
Yeah, I totally feel that. But also, like, it's a really interesting thing to me because I played the original game, the Japanese game, and then I played it in Chinese. And what I noticed is when I played in Chinese, they didn't actually change any of the English words or any of the English stuff. But when it came to the West, a lot of the English stuff was completely changed. Not just the scramble part. They actually changed a lot of the like quests in Japanese were called missions, and they're called something else. And then the band system, which is band as in you're in a band, you're together. They changed it to bond, which doesn't make sense. Like band makes sense because you're banding together. That's the whole point of the band. But they changed it to bond, which is also like it's a weird like why would you change is one letter?
Persona's all about strengthening your bonds and friendship and all of that. So maybe that's what they were aiming for.
Yeah, I see that, but like it wasn't like inaccurate in Japanese, or the English that they used wasn't wrong, or like missions for quests sounds better.
Right.
I think they changed it for something completely different. I forgot what it's called. I'm trying to look it up real quick so I can find it, but it's something else, and I was like, mission sounds better.
David,
it just does.
While you search for that, Kuro, let's go ahead and get David's opinion on what he thinks is better, Strikers or Scramble. What do you think?
I prefer Strikers just because it's shorter. I mean, Persona 5, Scramble, Phantom, Strikers. It's a bit too long, I think. I'd rather just
But what
Persona
if they
5
would have
Strikers.
just completely dropped the subtitle, The Phantom Strikers, and just called it Persona 5 Scramble?
Then I think Scramble sounds better, I think. It's just easier to say, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry about that. I found it. They call them requests.
Requests. Gotcha.
They were called missions before. Doesn't missions like feel more like phantom thief motive kind of thing? I don't know.
I don't know. You took requests like in Mementos and stuff. Did they call them requests?
I thought they were called. Well, maybe this is just Japanese. I thought they were maybe called. Well, in Japanese, I thought they were called missions because isn't that like where the manga like Mementos mission got its name?
Yeah, Mementos mission. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that is
I
like
just think it's a weird, odd thing to change the name for. Like, it doesn't really matter. But
yeah, that's something Atlas West kind of tends to do, and it's like it's they make changes that I don't necessarily like. It's not that I think it's a good change or a bad change. I'm just like, why did you change it? And it's like some I just don't get at all. Like the weirdest one to me is in Ultimax when they changed Minazuki's persona Tsukuyomi into Tsukiyomi, and it's like I'm like that just seems like such a random change to make. And it's like why did you feel the need to change this one letter?
I still think the worst change that they've done for Persona 5 is changing Futaba's name from Navi to Oracle, a Batman reference.
I was also not a fan of that.
Yeah,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say, like, the weird thing is, I played the game in Spanish. I don't know, you guys know I speak Spanish too. So I played the Persona 5 Rojo in Spanish recently because I was in a Spanish podcast. And one of the weirdest thing is the personalities are almost different because of the what happens is the translation. For example, Futaba is almost like an e-girl, like somebody that is always online, and she talks with like with like internet lingo and stuff. But in Japanese nor in Spanish, she doesn't do that.
Interesting.
That's a localization thing. That's not how she talks in the Japanese game or in the Spanish translation. They kind of did their own thing as well. But
Yeah.
even with the in translation itself, they just gave it kind of like this weird personality. But that's not her personality, and like the which is I guess interesting. I think Ryuji is super funny in Spanish, but he's not that funny in English. Like I didn't think he was.
He's just
hilarious.
He's just a guy that curses a lot.
Yeah, but in Spanish, like he's super funny. I don't know why. Like I don't know if that's like a Spanish thing they decided to do, or if it's because I know he cusses a lot in Japanese too. But I don't know if he will be funny. I don't know. Translation is interesting, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds cool. Ryuji is a character that made me laugh, not because he was necessarily funny, but I liked him and he did make me smile. But I am very curious, like what kind of made him so funny in Spanish. That sounds really fun.
Well,
I was about to say something and I forgot what it was. Sorry.
You're good, man. You're good.
Sorry.
We can always go.
No, you're good.
We can always go back to it as well. Go ahead, man.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I just remembered what it was. It was when we were talking about changing Navi to Oracle and my super dumb, petty reason for hating it. One, it just felt like a weird change to me that didn't need to be made. And two, I was like, she is now the only Phantom Thief to have a code name that is 3 syllables. And I was like, that's such a dumb reason to hate it. But as soon as I had that thought, I'm like, and that's not even true anymore because now we have Violet, which is 3 syllables. But I was just like, when it used to be like, you had these short, snappy code names like Panther and Skull and Fox, and like I love those short. And then it's like Oracle, and I'm like,
It had to go with a Batman reference.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that harkens back to.
Not the
really,
first
That
time.
harkens back to Persona 1 when you
yeah,
had
Revelations.
Bruce and Selena.
And Alfred.
Like,
and Alfred.
And Alfred, yeah.
Well, it's I wouldn't really call it a reference to Batman. I don't know if it is or not, but I know there is an Oracle in the Necronomicon, which is literally her persona. So like, I feel like that kind of what makes sense to the end.
I feel it was like it was a multifaceted thing. Someone also told me I think Oracle is like an internet thing, like a message board or something. I don't know if that's necessarily what they were thinking, but it's like that might have been why they changed it. They were like, because it works. But I mean, I definitely thought it was a Batman reference because I'm like, okay, you've got a redhead with glasses that provides backup support. Yeah, like I was immediately just like, yeah, like Barbara Gordon's Oracle, but like, I don't know, like maybe that's not what they were going for at all, but that's definitely just the vibe I got.
Before we move on, right quick, David, Oracle or Navi?
Good question. Probably Oracle. I don't really have any arguments though.
Gotcha.
Never really.
Maybe it's just something you're just used to by now. Anyways,
probably.
Away from the Tokyo Game Show for a second. Between the time of that and some other shows, we got multiple Nintendo partner showcases. They started to make that a semi-monthly thing, and everyone thought, at least some expectations were that, Persona 5 Scramble was on Switch in Japan. They're going to show it off at this Nintendo showcase right here, and we're going to get we're finally going to get an official announcement for Atlas. At least that was kind of my kind of thought. What bigger stage could you have than a Nintendo, partner showcase or a mini direct? What did you guys think? Did you think that it would be announced at these?
Not personally. I was not expecting that because while I understand why you would think that, I think that's completely fair what you just mentioned. Persona still feels more like a Sony thing to me, so I was not expecting Nintendo to get the premiere English reveal for Strikers.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I wasn't expecting it at that point. I think I had dropped off onto like the hype of I gave up, man. I bought the Japanese game and I bought it in Chinese. I was like, forget about it. I was gonna play it.
What about you, John?
I think by that point, I was like not specifically for any kind of reason. Like it wasn't because I was like, oh, Persona is Sony. It wasn't even because of that. I was just kind of like, at this point, I was like done getting my hopes up for events.
Right.
The funny thing to me that like we're talking about that July showcase, right?
Just any showcase in general,
okay.
Honestly.
I just remember that first one. Like, I remember a lot of people were like, "This is it. This is going to be Shin Megami Tensei 5," and I was like, "No, it's not." And then it totally was. And I was like, "Well,
Hey,
look who's wrong, me."
It's funny you mentioned that because I swear to God, on this day, I never found anyone else. I was the only one with an SMT5 logo on my thumbnail for this live stream. Honestly, that's the reason why I had like 600 subscribers back then, and I had like 250 viewers on that stream because I had freaking SMT5 logo on my thumbnail, and I wasn't even expecting it. I was like, "F it, no matter what's the event, SMT5 is gonna be on my thumbnail if I'm live reacting. Let's go, just in case."
Yeah, it was my birthday, so I actually skipped it because it was my birthday. I was like, oh, watch it later. I'm gonna have lunch with my girlfriend and everything. So I went to visit her. She used to work at Panera when this happened. So I'm like sitting at Panera eating lunch with her, and I'm watching David's stream, and I was like, holy crap! I saw the Atlas logo, and I was like, Nocturne. That was the first thing they announced, and I was like, oh my god. And then they double whammy us, and they showed us Shin Megami Tensei 5, and I was like, I need to go home. I told her, like, I'm going to go home. I need to make a reaction video right now. They literally dropped 2 Shin Megami Tensei games in my birthday. So I need to go talk about it right now.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember not to derail the Strikers podcast too much to 5, but I remember I had this kind of discussion with someone. A very common argument, I don't know if you all agree or disagree with this. The only real issue I think that 5 has had in general is just that they announced it too early, whether you agree or did. And I just remember thinking, I was like, could you imagine if that partner showcase had just been the first announcement of 5? Like, if they'd never...
It would have been way better.
Yeah, like 100%.
It would have been way better because everyone thought SMT was dead when they announced it in 2017. So could you imagine if they really waited until 2020? We would be convinced that SMT was dead at that point.
And then it would get reincarnated.
Absolutely. I had this massive, once again, I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I had this massive theory of why it got announced so soon. One thing that was really problematic, because you got to remember it got announced on January 2017 for the Nintendo Switch presentation showcase.
And that was a great show.
It really was.
Megaton being featured at all was amazing. So I get maybe why they'd want to be in that. But
it made me buy a Switch day one. That's literally why I bought a Switch.
Exactly. Well, I think the reason why it got announced at this show, even though they clearly had nothing ready when they showed it, is because the Wii U was lacking in third-party support, and more precisely in Japanese third-party support. Even Nintendo didn't really provide RPGs on the system. Like, there was Xenoblade and Tokyo Mirage Sessions, that's
I love
pretty
Tokyo
much
Mirage
it.
Sessions.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
pretty much
I
it. Though there was
love Tokyo Mirage. I love,
I
love,
was
love, love, love.
so happy it got a switch. I was talking about this the other day. Sorry, I keep derailing. I remember just being like, it blows my mind that Tokyo Mirage Sessions got a Switch port before Mario 3D World. Like,
It's true though.
I made an entire video like years ago about like, hey, here's everything they should do for a Switch port. Some of it actually did happen. I was very proud of that. But it still just blows my mind that not only does it exists before some of the more like obvious Switch ports that you think would have happened.
the Zelda games, Xenoblade, are
Super
not
Mario
here yet, and
Galaxy.
they're way more obvious than freaking Tokyo Mirage Sessions. So
And cheap plug right quick, since this is my podcast, me and David actually made a video recently on my channel, 5 reasons you should play Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Go ahead and go check that out and support the channel if you can.
Yeah, that was a really good video. I fully agreed. Even though I'd already played it several times, I was like, these are reasons why I played it.
But yeah, we could
Great
go
game.
on and on about TMS all day. But let's go back to Strikers if y'all don't mind, right?
Oh,
quick.
that's right. This is a Strikers podcast.
Right. we can step over TMS and Yakuza on some other podcasts, which I actually would love to do a Yakuza podcast with you guys at some point. But let's go ahead and move on right quick. We're going to go over some random stuff. So there's not really any more expos or anything, but there's some things that came up. Of course, Persona 4 Golden released on Steam during that summer as well. I think that was another reason why I expected even a Strikers announcement at like Nintendo, or even just like a Golden port announcement at one of those showcases, at the partner showcases. But there was a Koei Tecmo financial report that listed Persona 5 Scramble for Western release, and by the end of the year, it was completely dropped from their financial reports.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Everyone was really bummed out.
Yeah.
Everyone was telling me, "Oh, it's not coming to the West anymore." I was like, "Oh."
Well, here's the thing. Even IGN, I think, posted an article about them mentioning that Persona 5 Scramble slated for Western release, and then
Don't like IGN's reliable, dude.
oh, that's true, but it is one of the biggest gaming news websites.
Yeah.
Out there. I know. IGN hasn't been reliable since 2009. So so that happened, and then there was a trademark registered by Atlas in August 2020 about Persona 5 Strikers. There was even a logo. People actually dug deep into the internet and discovered that logo. But at this point, Atlas still hadn't said anything, even one mention about a Western release for Persona 5 Scramble in the West. So after all that debacle, we're going to go ahead and skip to December 3rd of 2020. Atlas accidentally leaks their own trailer for the localization of Persona 5 Scramble Strikers in the West on their YouTube channel. It was like almost midnight, dead-ass midnight, and they leaked their own trailer. What did you guys think about that? You remember that, correct?
Yep.
I loved it. Like, I was just so excited to see it, and I feel like they kind of did a little bit. I just remember like, because everyone was like, "Oh, they did not mean to do this," and I was like, I feel like they really should have leaned into the marketing opportunity that the Phantom Thieves leaked their trailer. Like, I think that would have been just some fun marketing, and I think they kind of did like a little bit. Like, I remember they tried to make a joke about it, but I don't know. I thought that would have been like kind of a fun way to.
They released some sort of tweet like a day or two later saying all will be revealed in a few days. But let's be for real. That trailer was going to be slated for the what was it? The Video Game Awards. That was going to be like that same.
Oh
week.
yeah.
Let's be for real. So I don't know. So what did you guys think? Did you think that was a Video Game Awards release? Did they leak their own trailer? But what did you think?
Oh, it's definitely something happened. It wasn't planned. Like it's hard to tell for the Game Awards. It's a good theory, but I don't know about that.
But they had Lynn slated
so.
and everything to perform there, didn't they? Lynn
Yeah,
performed
they did.
at the Game Awards.
She did. No, the leak happened because they keep uploading whoever uploads their stuff because it happens multiple times already. I caught them a few times already. They keep uploading the videos as unlisted,
Right.
but they're still in the channel. So instead of putting them on private, they put them as unlisted.
Right.
And you
And
can still
and they
access
put it
it.
in some sort of playlist, and that's how someone found it.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Total Atlas move, but that
Absolutely.
I thought that was at least interesting enough to mention during this podcast, because that was a monumental moment, because up till we got a leak of their own trailer, they hadn't said one word about, a localization of Persona 5 Scramble. So I think that kind of caught everyone off guard. I mean, we knew it was coming eventually, let's be for real, but it was so long that I was kind of like numb to it. You got
Yeah, it was very, very weird that it was like we waited so long for them to say something. We waited so long for this announcement, and then the announcement was an accident. It's like y'all had 9 months to get your affairs in order.
right.
And this is how we hear about it.
Listen, it would have been even better, I feel like, if they would have just said at some point, I don't know about you guys, but if they would have just said at some point, the game is coming, guys, don't worry, it's on a little bit of a delay, but instead they chose not to talk about it, which got, I don't know if you guys remembered, but Persona 5 Scramble was trending so many times on Twitter before the localization was ever announced, because people wanted it.
Yeah, I agree. They should have just confirmation that it was coming. Even like, they didn't even need like a release window. Yeah, just being like, yes, we are working on it. It is coming. We don't know when, because the world is on fire right now. And I'd be like, that's totally fine. Take your time. Like Persona 5 says at every loading screen, take your time. Like it would have been fine. But yeah, it was a little frustrating.
I think just confirmation that it was coming would have gone a long way. Like this communication with the audience, people are waiting for this game. You're clearly aware of that because people are commenting in your Twitter page every day about it. So just one simple announcement, even if it's on their Twitter or on YouTube, and be like, hey, the game is coming, just give us some time or whatever. That would have gone a long way, I think.
And I think people would have understood, because even the most skeptical of people would have said, I understand it's been a hell of a year. 2020 was just such a bad year on so many fronts for a lot of different reasons. But to me, it's like not saying something. It's just, I'd rather them say, we don't know when it's coming out. 2021. There you go. There's a release date.
Right.
But anyways, moving on right quick. Just want to get you guys' final thoughts after everything that's transpired, from the release in Japan to the announcement of the teaser trailer where it got leaked on their YouTube page. What do you think ultimately took Atlas so long to even acknowledge a Western release of this game? Is it because of the circumstances? Do you think it was because they weren't ready? What do you think took them so long to even acknowledge it?
I definitely think it was like a combination of things. I think it's like I think perhaps they because they're so used to working in that, like, was it like I'm not implying that they do everything in the 6 months between Japanese and Western releases that we normally get. Like, I'm sure they're doing some behind the scenes stuff before then, but it's like, yeah, I feel like between everyone kind of having to adapt to working at home and how that might have changed things for the actors, and also like I'm sure they had to have like teams working on the Steam port. I think everything just kind of ended up taking longer than they were expecting, and I don't want to say they were too embarrassed to like talk about it, but
right,
almost like maybe they really just didn't want to say anything until they were sure they had a handle on it, and I think that just might have taken them longer than they expected.
Kuro, your thoughts?
I agree. I mean, I think it was just that. I think they were expecting to have something sooner rather than later, and it probably took them by surprise. And at the end of the day, they probably they were already pretty like overwhelmed about it. I'm assuming that. And by the time that they delayed it for so long, people are already like, some people already moved on.
Right.
I feel like a lot of people just had moved on from it. Like myself, I wasn't no longer kind of like oh, news are coming, whatever, and then it suddenly just kind of leaks. I just kind of like, wow, well, that just sucks.
David, what took Atlas so long to even acknowledge a Western release? Your final thoughts on that?
That's a very good question because it makes no sense in my mind. So it's really hard to tell. Like you can't justify it with other releases because there was no other releases. So,
I mean, 13 Sentinels, you could say. I mean,
uh,
that
oh
release.
well, I doubt it to be honest. 13 Sentinels, I think it's like so different. It's Vanillaware. It's even if there's the same publisher, maybe, but I'm not too sure. But actually, maybe the Steam version. Maybe the Steam version wasn't planned at first, and they decided to do one later down the road. That might be
Maybe they
one of the
decided to
reasons.
do one after the success of Persona 4 Golden on Steam.
Yeah,
That could be the case. And
yeah.
one more question that I just thought about before we move on, because I've heard some people talk about this as well, was does Atlas's negligence to the game, not even mentioning it, did it kill any of your guys' hype for a Western release of the game at all?
Oh yeah, for me, yeah, definitely. Because if it were to release like let's say 3-4 months after the Eastern release,
Right.
like I was hyped. Like during New Game Plus Expo and stuff, I wanted to play Strikers. I really wanted to play Strikers. But now I look forward to other stuff. Like I'm gonna play it and I'm gonna enjoy it. But definitely the hype level is not as high as it used to be.
Kira?
That's probably controversial, but still.
Kira?
No, I think it completely killed my hype. I know in the channel I talk about it all the time, but I personally like I already played the game in Japanese, and I keep on mentioning this. So like whatever hype that I had, I literally just went and bought the game in Japanese. Like I couldn't wait. I know maybe it's my fault, but at the end of the day, I was just kind of like, it's whatever. It doesn't matter anymore.
What about you, John?
Um, I mean, for me, Strikers has just kind of been like I would say it did kill my hype a little bit, but Strikers has just been like such a roller coaster for me. I can't really think of any other game, except for arguably maybe like Shin Megami Tensei 5, just because of how that's kind of been going. But it's like anytime my hype kind of starts to dip, I just remember why I was excited about it, and it just kind of went back up, and it's like. It was like the things I'm hyped for in that game, I'm still very hyped for. I know we're going to talk about those in a little bit later, so I don't want to like dive too much into it. But it's like I'm still So like I'm surprised I'm still as hyped for the game as I am, even though it's been a year. Because I've definitely lost interest in games long before now.
Right.
Which
And
is like for like I said, like with Catherine, with like Full Body, it took so long and I stopped caring, even though I was interested. But that hasn't really happened with Strikers.
so I know that last section where we just went over all the events could seem a little negative to some people, but I think it's important in discussing how we got to this moment where we are right now. And so instead of being a little bit negative, let's go ahead and talk about the actual Western release of the game right quick, and tell each other our stories about what we think the game's like and what we're excited about most for the game. First off, before we start this section, we're here February 17th, 2021. This video will release tomorrow, the day before the digital release of Persona 5 Strikers in the West. Has anyone here actually played the game, even the Japanese version or the demo?
I just played the demo. That's all I've played is the Japanese demo.
Right.
Same.
I played the entire game.
Okay. So I just want to get your guys' opinion on the gameplay and everything. What do you guys think about the game, however much you played of it? Did it get you even more hype than you were for the game? Were your expectations kind of met, or were they lower? Have they been lowered ever since? I wanted to get your guys' thoughts about it.
I did really like the demo. I think the only thing that kind of disappointed me, and Kuro, you've played the full game, so you can maybe tell me if this is not just an issue with the demo, this is something they just did. So for those of you that haven't played the demo, even though you've got Mona and Ryuji and Sophia, you can only play as Joker in the demo.
Right.
I don't know if the game has you unlock the ability to play as whatever character you want at that point, or if the demo was specifically designed to only be Joker. Joker's not.
That's just a joke. That's just the demo.
I figured, but it's like, for me, Joker is not the character I want to play as. I've played Persona 5 on PS3 and PS4 and Royal. I'm done playing as Joker. I want to play as other characters, particularly Sophia. And Hasegawa. I'll talk about that later. But like, that was kind of the only thing that really bothered me with the demo. I'm like, this is fun, but I would so much rather be playing as someone else. And I'm like, if the point of this is to get me hyped for this Warriors game, which is all about playing as a bunch of different characters and doing different things, it did feel a little constrictive to just have you be Joker. And it's like, I want to be someone else right now.
It does make sense. I can actually clarify that a little bit. So, Joker is still the main character in the game. He's locked. So the game teases that you can play up to 4 people, up to 4 different characters. I'm sorry, but it's actually 3 characters because Joker is locked. You cannot take him out of the game. He will stay as the main character protagonist the entire time. You can change 3 other characters, but Joker is not gonna be taken out. He's still the leader of the party, and he's still in all the cutscenes, and he's still doing everything. So,
right.
Yeah, but you can, from the beginning of the game up until the very end of the game, you can switch between characters. You can play everybody else. I personally use Joker as support for a lot of different reasons. Joker's always been, or like the main protagonist for me is like literally a mule with support, whether it's like buffs and debuffs or anything. Like it's never been like my major thing.
I do kind of have one question, because this was sort of a fear of mine, and like you don't have to go into any detail. Like, I obviously don't want to spoil anything for anybody. So obviously I assume, like, for tutorial battles, obviously you're probably going to be Joker a little bit, but like, are there any moments in the game where you have to be Joker? Like, are there any moments where the game is like, no, we're going to make you be Joker for this part?
Right, like you can't specifically like be Ryuji, and like you're facing a boss and you can't like specifically just fight him with only like Ryuji, right? You have to be Joker.
Right, like again,
I see what you mean. Not really. Like there's very little few moments. Like it's gonna be like maybe like the intro, like the very intro.
Right. I figured
some cutscenes here and there. What it does though is every time that you jump into a cutscene, like a boss battle or something, I believe it will automatically start you with Joker, but you can easily switch between characters. The baton pass, which obviously it is, but whatever. The passing between characters is actually pretty cool. It does this animation where they clap each other hands every time that they do the switch and everything. So it's pretty seamless actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So David, what did you think about the demo? You said you played it, correct?
Yes, yeah, I did play it. Well, right away, even with only the demo, and I know that it gets more intense as much as the more you play it. It proves that it's not just a Fire Emblem Warrior clone or just a Dynasty Warrior clone. It shows just with the demo that it's more than that. And this is what I was looking for when playing the demo. I played it and I was like, okay, great, perfect. That's what I wanted to see. Like, I love Warriors games, so even if it was just a standard Warrior game, I wouldn't complain. But it's more than that, so that's cool.
And I assume you played the demo on Switch. Everyone who played the demo here played it on Switch, correct?
No, I played it on PS4.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I think me and David actually played the demo on Switch. So, David, if you love the Switch demo that was, didn't have the best graphics or anything, man, wait till you boot up this game on your PS5, because it will be 4K, 60 FPS. Man, it's going to look absolutely gorgeous on a 4K screen.
I bet.
Kind of, sort of, sometimes.
well, I know sometimes the characters can be a little stretched on screen, but the game runs so perfectly from my experience on PS5. That is the ultimate way to play the game for me, unless you're playing it on a very high-end PC. But, Strain, are you going to be playing it on PS4? Do you have a PS5?
I don't have a PS5, no. I am always very late to the console game. Like Like I didn't even have a Switch till like mid 2018. So like,
Oh, if you're doing that, you can still get the 4K. Well, it's not really 4K. That's kind of what I said. Kinda. The PS4 version or even the PS5 version is checkerboard 4K.
But that's assuming he has a PS4 Pro.
I don't. Like I said, I'm still just excited for it. Really, the main reason I'm getting it on 4 is just because like Royal was on 4, and it just feels very weird to me to not like it. If Royal had been released on Switch, I'm not trying to get into like why it should or anything. Just if it had been, like if Royal when Royal was first announced, if that had been on Switch and Strikers had also been on Switch, I would have just bought both on Switch. Like
Right.
PS4 Royal wouldn't have even been a thought for me. But like
that goes into another question, actually. Go ahead, David. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that because when we're gonna get the sales number for Strikers, well, the PS4 version is gonna outsell the Switch version, of course.
Oh yeah,
and
probably,
people are gonna say, "Oh yeah, this is the reason why P5 is not coming to Switch," and that's gonna make me cry inside because you just mentioned one of the most important reasons. When the first game is not on the system, well, there's a bunch of people that, for no specific reason, it just feels normal to buy it on the same system because I mean, it's the same thing. Like I'm gonna give you guys an example. For example, if Like a Dragon, Yakuza, didn't came out on Xbox before, like if both next gen versions were coming out on the same day, who would have bought the Xbox version?
No.
Except newer fans. Everyone would pick up the PS5 version because it's like I would have bought the PS5 version. All my Yakuza games are on PS4, so it's just normal.
Oh, yeah,
people
yeah.
don't
I have
understand that. So
yeah, I always do have a weird like, and it's weird because anytime I hear someone say like Shin Megami Tensei is Nintendo, Persona is PlayStation, like I get mad because I don't like that argument. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I do buy my Persona game. Like I'm getting Nocturne on the Switch, even though I'm getting Persona on the PlayStation. But it's like I don't know. That's just like Crash Bandicoot. I will always buy Crash on PlayStation because that just makes sense to me.
And it's not because the PlayStation is the most powerful system. It's just what you're accustomed to playing it on.
Yeah,
right. It's just yeah. I assign like weird. Yeah, I just assign weird mental like this feels like a this game to me, and so that's just what I get it for.
Yeah.
But like I don't necessarily have that with Persona because like I said, like if Royal had been on Switch, then I would have just immediately been like, get both on Switch. So it's not that my brain is going Persona feels like a PlayStation game. It's just all my other Persona games are on PlayStation, so I'm just gonna so that they look nice next to each other on my shelf, and I don't have Strikers alone in my Switch section.
Right.
Understandable. So to answer the question, I guess I did play the Switch version as well. We were talking about the gameplay too.
Oh yeah, we were going over impressions of the game.
Yeah. So 100%. If you guys, I know a lot of people that are worried about the Warriors thing, so I want to clear this up. This game, other than the demo that you guys played, the battles never happened that way ever again. Like the Warriors thing that you see in the demo, or maybe some of the trailers, is not how the game works. The game works basically the same way Persona 5 works, where you're kind of sneaking from place to place, and then you sneak up behind an enemy, you pull their mask off, and a little battle animation pops up, and you kind of start fighting. That's pretty much how it works. This hack and slash. It's 100% like if you play something like Nier or Final Fantasy VII, the remake. That's pretty much how the gameplay works. That's the closest things. Warriors. It doesn't really have much of that, to be honest.
It's got some Warriors DNA in it, but it's definitely not a Warriors game.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not a Muso game. Let's put it as a genre. Kind of. If I'm sure everybody at this point played or seen at least one of them, but it doesn't play like that. The quests are repetitive, but that's pretty much what Persona quests weren't super imaginative either. But yeah, the gameplay is so good. It gets so addicting. That was like the one thing that I was worried about, and that was like the best thing for me about the game. It was the gameplay. I love the gameplay so much. It's a 10 out of 10 for me.
So,
Nice.
talking about gameplay, I think John was actually mentioning playing who he's most excited to play with. Who are you guys most excited to play with? And Kuro, in your case, who's your favorite character to play as in the game? But who are you guys looking forward to controlling in the game?
The new character, Zenkichi, I think is the name.
Yes.
That's him for sure. I mean, I'm always down for new stuff, and I've heard only but good things about him. So definitely him, easily.
John?
Yeah, I'm absolutely excited for Zenkichi, which I kind of talked to. Sorry, I never know what to call him because it's like for some reason he always struck me as one of those characters we'd get that's usually referred to by his last name. So for a long time, I've just been calling him Hasegawa. I don't know how they refer to him in the game. I don't know if he does go more by Zenkichi, but yeah, I'm super excited for him, and it's some of my friends were kind of making fun of me because I do love this. I love his design. I love his Phantom Thief outfit. I am super hyped for Valjean. I just think it's a great persona design. And my friends, my people who know me, I love new characters. I love new personas. I kind of mentioned that earlier. And they were like, the fact that I'm more excited for Zenkichi than Sophia, because Sophia is adorable and I do want to play as her at least a little bit. But the fact that I'm more excited to Zenkichi, my friends are like, wow, you must really like this character. So I am definitely excited to play as him. I really just want to see everything he can do.
He's a really fun character to play as. He's a more relatable character, I think, to newcomers, to new players, because his whole character is kind of like discovering the Phantom Thieves and kind of like working with them and everything. I think his character is more to like newcomers, to people that never play the Phantom Thieves games or Persona 5 really. Kind of like introduce them the character. You can see his perspective from the character, if you want to see it that way. Because
Okay.
he's discovering everything's new for him. You know, the Phantom Thieves and what they do, and so like a good way to kind of explain the mechanics of the story and everything is through his lens because he's learning everything.
Okay, so yeah, so he kind of exists to play like catch up a little bit. Like it's like instead of having the characters explain the stuff that they would already know, they kind of explain it to him, and that clues in new players, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I actually really like that because the other day my sister actually texted me because she has a Switch. She does not have a PlayStation. She texted me because she really liked Persona 3 and Persona 4. And she messaged me. She's like, "Hey, what's Persona 5 Strikers?" Because she just saw it on like the eShop. She was like, "What can you tell me about that?" I'm like, well, it's basically Persona 5, 2 essentially. And she was like, "Do I need to play the first one?" And I'm like, the spinoffs are usually pretty good about making it so no, you don't have to. They usually do kind of catch up a little bit. I don't know if she's gonna get it or not, but she sounded pretty interested in it, so I'm hoping she'll give that a try.
I think and I don't want to say watch Persona 5 the animation, but I think you at least need to at least watch the anime before you play Strikers. I feel like at least. Because
yeah, I can say that. I'm just saying, like from a perspective of the writing, that I know that what his character purpose feels like. But I know I agree with you. I definitely encourage people to play the game
because the characters really, you're dropped right back into. You already know the characters. They're already interacting with each other like they usually do. It's not a moment of, oh, let's get to know them again or anything. You're dropped right into the middle of it.
Right.
So I think you're missing a lot of stuff if you don't at least see their. I'm not saying that the anime's great or anything, and it definitely is not well paced or anything, but I think you're missing something if you don't at least get an introduction somewhat to the character before Persona 5 Strikers. But that's just me.
I don't know.
It's more like maybe King, you might be the only one who's able to answer that, but is it more like a dragon situation where like there's a ton of fan service that you will really enjoy if you play the other games, but you'll still enjoy it if you didn't play the other games.
Here's the
That like
thing.
that, or
Here,
I
Dragon
agree.
Quest 11, for
Yes.
example.
here's the thing. Like a Dragon, there's a reason why Like a Dragon wasn't called Yakuza 7. They wanted to get newcomers and someone that has not ever played a Yakuza game because it was such a drastic difference to come enjoy the game. And yeah, you'll get a few things, and I don't want to spoil it too much for people who haven't played the game. There's obvious cameos and everything that happen, especially during like the last section of the game. But I mean, it's like a Dragon was made, at least in my eyes, for newcomers to the series. Yeah, it's great if you played the other games, but you don't have to necessarily experience, those other. To me,
Right.
I almost think you have to experience Persona 5 to play Persona 5 Strikers.
I disagree. After playing the game, I feel like the game really does give you enough information. But suggestion, yes, you should definitely play the game to enjoy it completely. But it's okay if you haven't. The game really does kind of put a lot of emphasis. In fact, I don't want to go into the story too much, but the game repeats a lot of the story arcs from the original game, which that was my caveat about this game, because it repeats a lot of the story arcs from previous games into this one. And that was kind of like I didn't like that too much from a writing perspective. But so you don't really miss out much on that either. But it's still like King is saying, like it's definitely recommendable to play the game. You will be lost the first few hours for sure.
Oh, definitely. And another thing I wanted to talk about as well. Like I said, we're recording this on Wednesday. This video will be released Thursday. Thursday is the day before the digital release. I wanted to go over the actual release of the game. There's not going to be a collector's edition of the game. You get a steelbook at Best Buy if you pre-order it, or a pin at GameStop if you pre-order it there as well. What are your guys' thoughts on this marketing strategy of, delivering the game 4 days early if you buy digitally versus, buying it physically on Tuesday, like I'm sure we're all doing? But I want to get your guys' opinion on that.
I'm not a fan, because I don't want to say this because I feel like just by saying this I'm inviting like people to flood my Twitter inbox. But like the fact that it's been a year, I'm amazed that I've not really been spoiled on Strikers.
Right.
I really almost every Persona game I've had someone ruin for me before it comes out, and I'm just like, well, you suck. Like the only spoilers I have for Strikers are things that I specifically went out of my way to check. But yeah, so it's like I'm very excited to get the game on Tuesday and kind of go into it as fresh as possible. And I feel like the fact that it comes out so early digitally, I almost feel like I'm just gonna I just kind of want to stay off Twitter and just not engage with anything, because I know people are gonna post like screenshots, or people are gonna post like full. I'm already seeing full clips from like even just like review copies from people.
Right. And it's like,
someone we know.
Faz.
I didn't, but yeah. So I'm just kind of like I like the fact that it's just coming out early digitally just makes me. I just have to get away from it. It's like I'm just gonna isolate myself now until I can
and it's like,
get my copy of it.
I don't want it to seem like we're throwing a temper tantrum because of it, because, oh man, these people get it 4 days early and we don't, the collectors don't get it. I just think it's almost scummy marketing. It's something you would expect from from 2K or EA.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Buy the digital deluxe, get it 4 days early. To me, it would have been better, to me at least, if they would have said, hey, buy the physical collector's edition of this game and get it 4 days early.
Yep.
Yeah.
There would have been no complaints.
I'm super mad about it. I haven't talked about it enough because I just been trying to avoid like getting into discourse about it, but I am super upset about it. I'm disappointed more than anything, really. I expected different, but yeah, it really disappointed me.
I don't want to say it's surprising because we are living in that kind of age of like digital releases and stuff, but at the same time, I didn't think that Atlas would go this route of releasing this game, because you can joke about how long it took, Persona 5 Strikers to make it over here in the West, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think the marketing for the game has been absolutely awful. And the fact, and even the fact, I'm
100%.
still upset that there's not a collector's edition as well.
Yeah.
Were you guys surprised by that? Were you guys surprised by that?
I was a little surprised. Like I thought like even if they didn't do like a like full blown collector's edition, I thought they'd at least do like do y'all remember like when Apocalypse came out and they were just like, buy it physically, here's some pins. Like
Right.
just something thrown in there. Like even if it wasn't a full collector's, it was just like, here's some incentive to buy it physically. Like the only incentive we get isn't even from Atlas. It's from like Best Buy, I think. Like I don't know if they worked that deal with Atlas for that like exclusivity or something, but it's like,
So the deal with that, Spencer actually had the answer to that. He was supposed to be on the podcast tonight, but couldn't make it, unfortunately. But he actually had the answer. So at first, apparently Atlas thought that the higher ups at Atlas thought the Switch version would sell the best, which I really don't think that's going to happen, but that's another conversation. They thought it was going to sell the best, so they partnered up with Best Buy to do an exclusive Steelbook release. And I think there was enough arguments online between people saying, why isn't PS4 getting a Steelbook release, that Best Buy actually went to Atlas and say, you guys need to make a PS4 Steelbook of this right here, and they decided to do it. I think that's at least what Spencer said.
okay, that makes sense. But yeah, because I do remember there was briefly that period where it wasn't clear if the PS4. Like, yeah, because I do remember that people weren't. So yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
And I just wanted to bring this up. Persona Q2, a game that released on the 3DS in 2019. I have my collector's edition. That got a collector's edition in 2019 on the 3DS game, and Persona 5 Strikers is not getting one on the PS4 and Switch in 2020.
Dumb.
And that game didn't even get a dub.
Atlas is dumb.
I almost feel like
the dub killed the game for the hype on the West for that game.
I hate that. The main reason I hate that Persona Q2 didn't get a dub is because years ago I did a video on Strange Journey Redux where I talked about my kind of disappointment that game didn't get a dub, and I was like, every other 3DS game did, and it's like including the upcoming Persona Q2 that I'm assuming will get one, and I get like a comment a week from people like, that aged poorly.
Yeah.
I'm just like, shut up, I know. It's literally my pinned comment that I know. But it's like, I was wrong. I can admit that. Shut up.
Hey, dude, I made a video 1 week before July 20th last year, and the title of the video is Atlas going to appear in the next Nintendo Direct. Answer in the video is no. So, dude, 1 week before. So yeah, in comment, everything, but just like you mentioned, every single day. They come back.
But yeah, for Q2, I'm not sure if this had anything to do with it at all. But because it was like so late in the 3DS library, I almost wonder if that was a case where like they did the collector's edition because they kind of felt like that was, I don't want to say the only way that it would sell, but it was like they maybe thought, hey, this will, like, people jumped ship on the 3DS a long time ago. Like, maybe this will actually get some people to pick it up. Because I feel like that's kind of what they did with King Abaddon. Because that came 2009? Yeah, 2009. And it was like, they didn't even release that game by itself. Like, the only edition you could get of that game when it came out was that, like, nice plastic box with the Raiho plushie in it. And
yeah,
I remember so many people were just like, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna buy a Raiho plushie, and hey, it comes with a free game. Like, so it's like, I don't know if maybe that's why they kind of invested in a collector's edition for Persona Q2. Like, maybe they just felt like they needed it, and maybe they didn't feel that way with Strikers. I don't know. This is just guesswork on my part. But
I will say this about the Q2 collector's edition. That little Koromaru plus that you get, it's extremely cute, and it looks great beside my Morgana and Monokuma plushies.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. That's one of my favorite collector's editions that I got from Atlas.
Right.
I'm literally staring at the dancing collection. So I was like,
right.
Not those dancing games.
I want to take a moment to just this is just, I'm gonna vent a little bit. Almost every I buy pretty much any Megaten collector's edition. They are my treat yourself items. Almost every one I've ordered is damaged in some way. Like my Persona Q one, like one of the corners is just crushed. And the one that bugged me the most, because like, okay, a lot of them, I just blame Amazon. It's like they get shipped to me.
Oh yeah, they're
crap
the worst,
is wrong in the mail.
man. They're the
one
worst.
the one that really bugs me though, I'm staring at it right now, is my the Phantom Thieves edition for Royal. Like, okay, so that one, it's got the sleeve around the cardboard box, like the big the cardboard sleeve. It's got that, and that's wrapped in plastic. So I got it, and I was like, wow, this is in pretty good shape, because they're normally not when I get them. I took the plastic off. I took the sleeve out. I lifted the lid to the box up. One of the corners is just ripped.
Oh.
Like on the nice box is just ripped open, and I'm just like,
which game is it? I'm sorry.
The Phantom Thieves edition for Royal.
Oh, well, I thought you were talking about the original, the Take Your Heart edition from Persona.
Oh, no.
Well,
that one actually was in pretty good condition when I got
really?
it. I'm
wow.
happy with that one.
Yeah, I bought mine at Best Buy, and I made an unboxing video for that way before
I did too, actually. Yeah.
And that one just came off. You know how it has like an open closing kind of like door on the front on the top. Yeah. That one just completely fell off. The glue was gone. Like literally on the unboxing video, you can see it.
That sucks, dude.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, that was so sad.
Now, guys, we're all complaining about Strikers not getting a collector's edition, but let's feel bad for David over here, because he can't even get the Steelbook because he lives in Canada. Yep. David, do you plan on getting the Steelbook at any point in time, or?
Honestly, if I can find it for cheap, but it's like I'm paying $60 for the Switch version, $60 for the PC version, and $60 for the Steam version. So at this point, do I really want to spend minimum $20 on the Switch Steelbooks and another 20 on? I don't know if I care enough, to be honest.
And honestly, if Canada would have gotten the pen, like, I think that would have even been more of an insult if we just got the Steelbook over here, because that pen is, I don't know if you guys saw the exclusive pen that they had for Persona 5 Royal at GameStop when it released, but it's not even the size of my pinky, I don't think. It's extremely, extremely small. It's not even worth having, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I forgot that GameStop did a pin for Royal. I think it was like, because funny,
they do it for a lot of the games, actually.
Yeah, well, so funny thing, I was actually gonna pre-order the Phantom Thieves edition at GameStop, because I worked at GameStop when that was announced, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna put down my pre-order, and then I got fired in January.
Oh shit!
So I was just like, well, screw you guys. Like, the worst part is, like, I was fired like the week before Encore came out, like Tokyo Mirage Sessions Encore. And I was really bummed because they were going to give me the display poster that they had. They were like, yeah, when we're done with that, when that game comes out and we change the posters out, you can have it. And even after I got fired, I asked them, I was like, will you guys save that for me? And they were like, yeah, sure. And then they didn't. So I was just like, well,
that sucks.
You guys don't get my money anymore.
Let's just put a stop to giving GameStop our money anyways in the first place.
I'm going to go support smaller local creators that need it, like Amazon. Amazon needs more money.
Or Walmart, because they undercut Amazon by $10 every new game release.
Yeah, every now and then I do like to go buy new games. Like, I think I bought Crash 4 at Walmart because it was just, it was $10 less. And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
You guys are so lucky. Like, honestly, I don't get a bunch of pre-orders bonuses that you guys are talking about. And Walmart doesn't have that $10 off on new games here. It's full price like everywhere else.
Oh, bummer.
David, you just need to come down here and live in the U.S. with us, man.
But you know what's cool, though? I'm pretty lucky on something, though. Whenever there's some item or something that comes out which is rare, I think it's way easier to get it here than you guys. Like, for example, the PS5, I remember Kuro when it came out. We were tracking the day that it came out. I got my pre-order like really easy, like 30 minutes after it was up on Best Buy, and you were like, dude, it's insta sold out. For us, it wasn't that bad. So I think we're pretty lucky for those things.
That's pretty cool. I'm glad to
this
hear
is
that.
Yeah, this is one instance where Canada, you guys had things a little bit better. For one, you have all dress chips, and I'm jealous. For two, I remember the game Sakuna of Rice and Ruin. I don't know if any of you played that. Like it was like I went to buy it. I tried to buy it after it came out, which did not work out. Like the standard edition was sold out like everywhere. I couldn't find it on Amazon. The Xseed website didn't have it. Best Buy didn't have it. Like I could not find the standard edition anywhere. Weirdly enough, collector's edition, which was like $20 more, that was plentiful. I could find that wherever but I was talking to one of my friends in Canada, and she was like, yeah, we have the standard edition. Like I'm on Amazon Canada. We have it in stock right now. And I was just like, so I don't know. So like sometimes I feel like kind of that's why I was thinking of it. Like going back to what you were saying about like rare stuff might be a little easier to find up there.
Yeah, didn't you get like a Shin Megami Tensei 1 collector's edition, David?
Oh, I got the Shin Megami Tensei If 50th anniversary pack for like $100 Canadian on credit.
Oh, nice.
So that's definitely a great pickup since most of those are collector's edition on like 180 US on eBay. So so that was an amazing find. Like honestly, IRL, I don't know anyone who's a fan of Megaton. So like in where I live, everyone's like Fortnite, Call of Duty, and that's pretty much it. So whenever I want to get a game and I want to buy, like I really like to support my local game stores. There's one in particular that I really like to support. Whenever there's a new game, I pre-order it from them, and I have to pre-order it because they're not getting it. Like 13 Sentinels, they're like, oh yeah, I think I can order that game. Like they were not getting any copies of that game.
Dude,
soon. They ordered one for me, but they were not supposed to have any in. So
yeah, I don't live in a big town, so like for example, my GameStop didn't get any Tokyo Mirage sessions, and that was one of those games I was like, oh, I'll just pick it up later. I wasn't in a rush to pre-order or anything like that because I pre-ordered the original one on the Wii U, so I already played the game previously on the Wii U, and I had the collector's edition for that. So I was like, I can just wait for it whenever there's no collector's edition or whatever. I couldn't find it anywhere locally. Like I drove around to like Walmart, Target, GameStop, like every single Best Buy. Nobody had any copies of Tokyo Mirror Sessions. And then I see Spencer posting pictures of his local Walmart with like overstock.
They're all clearance.
Yeah, exactly. Overstock of their documentary sessions. Like, so that's where it all went because like I didn't. And there was like no copies nearby. In fact, to this day, I still have only the digital edition of that game.
I'm not gonna lie, I never saw Tokyo Mirage Session on Switch on store shelves since release. Never. I picked up mine from my local game store because I pre-ordered it. Never seen it on like a Walmart or Best Buy, anything. Nope, nowhere to be found.
Yeah, I've seen mine at I've seen it at my local Walmart. It's like they have like one copy though that I think has been there since last January. Like every time I go there like and check, there's always just one copy, and I'm like, it's just like, do I eventually just have to buy it and give it to like?
Wait till it goes on clearance. Like, it'll go on clearance eventually.
Oh, I'm sure.
Anyways, guys, this has been a lot of fun, and I think we're going to start wrapping up here for a second. Before we go, there's a couple of questions from Twitter that I would like to ask you guys. First question comes from Persona 4 Ever. He says, hey, future everyone in the podcast, how are y'all? Hope you guys are safe and always enjoying. Here's my question. Before knowing the release date, was there any meme of not being released to the West that you know of? If yes, which is your favorite? I'm not really sure what he's asking with that question, but I mean, it almost became like a running gag on at least on my Twitter account about Persona 5 Scramble as a myth and everything. But what did you guys think? Was it a really funny point to y'all? Did y'all ever make fun of it? Did you see other people clowning it? What did you think?
If I understand the question correct, I think he means like, were there any like meme images? Like, I'm just imagining like, you know how people always post like the picture of like a skeleton on a park bench, and it's like me waiting for Scramble to get announced.
Right.
Like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, I'm sure there were. Like, I never really took part in it. I don't typically make a lot of memes or anything. I'm sure I did see one or two that probably made me laugh, but none are really coming to mind.
Yeah.
Like I can't think of any like specific one that really made me laugh. The not a release date. I mean, the main one that made me laugh was when we first saw Zenkichi as Wolf. And he looked almost exactly like Scruffy Turtle's Sojiro. And people were like making jokes about like that was the scramble meme that I loved, was like people were doing like the Spider-Man meme of them pointing at each other with like Sojiro and Wolf. Like that made me laugh, but that's not really like a waiting for localization one.
David, any comment on that at all?
I don't have anything specific in mind.
Okay, no problem. We'll go ahead and go to the next question then. This one comes from Cross Renren. They ask something that's really not Strikers related in a way, but they say if there was a franchise to do a crossover game with Persona, what franchise would it be and what type of game do you want? For example, the example that they used was, I would love a Persona and Danganronpa fighting game because those are my two favorite franchises. What do you guys think is the like ultimate, crossover between Persona and X series?
Did he mention Persona precisely or Megaton?
I think it was specifically Persona. Yeah, Persona.
Well, I will go for the Shin Megami Tensei Persona crossover with like a fighting game kind of thing. I would like that. I would like to be the shit of everybody with Demi Fiend.
I would like Demi Fiend to Smash.
I want to slash Teddy's head off with Raito.
I'm here for it.
That'd be cool.
You, John?
But I don't know. With Persona, it's kind of hard to tell. If it was Megaton, I would say I want a real SMT cross Fire Emblem. Nothing against the Tokyo Mirage sessions, but it's not what I was expecting. I want like Devil Survivor / Fire Emblem.
I keep joking that one of these days we'll actually get like D2, because D2's been getting all these great crossover events. I keep joking D2 will get a Fire Emblem crossover, and that will actually be Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem. Yeah, like I feel like Persona's a little tougher. Like I could name a bunch of series like crossing over with SMT. Like I've even written out like, not like fan fiction or anything, but like ideas for like Yakuza Megaten. But Persona specifically, I'm not really sure what I'd like to see kind of the crossover there. I think Persona doesn't work necessarily as well with crossovers. I think it works better with kind of having the different genres that we keep getting in the spin-offs. Like to me,
yeah, I agree with that.
Like I think like Miku being in Dancing All Night. Like to me, that was a great crossover because that just kind of I would have liked if she had any interaction, like even if it was just partners on her song. But it's like I feel like Persona as a crossover works better when it crosses over with a genre rather than a specific series, if that makes sense. Because but I mean we saw Persona cross Blaze Blue, we saw Persona cross Ruby in a weird way, and I don't really know. I'm not sure what specifically I'd like to see Persona crossover with.
Right. So I think that almost wraps it up right there. I just want to get your guys' final thoughts about this. Persona 5 Strikers coming out. It's the latest, spin-off game for Persona. It's definitely different than, the gameplay of Persona 5. What do you think we're going to see next from Persona 5? Or do you think they're done with Persona spin-off games?
But I think they're done.
I hope there is one more, and that is only because I felt like I don't like that Royal, I'm not going to go into the details of it, but I don't like that Royal introduced Jose and then ended his story on a cliffhanger. It's like I don't know if that's something they're just going to do as like an overarching series continuation, or if they do plan on doing something more Persona 5 related specifically. I would not be surprised if we got a Persona 5-3 in whatever form or genre it takes. I'm kind of hoping we do, just something to be like post Royal, because like Strikers doesn't acknowledge Royal at all. So I'd like
it kind of does.
It does.
I heard it doesn't like I mean, you've played. I don't know. Like I specifically asked people. I was like, does Striker like? I was like, is Yoshizawa's existence acknowledged at all in Strikers? I was like, is she even mentioned? And people were telling me no. I don't know because I haven't seen it myself. But I was just like, I was like, I'm just hoping there's just a little more recognition of what Royal did with something new.
I think they had to do this before in Persona 4 Arena.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's
so
like why Marie wasn't in Arena.
Yeah,
Like,
and then they added it for the next one. So
right.
according to a interview that I read after Persona 5 Strikers released in Japan, there is one more Persona 5 spin-off they're working on. It is possibly a sequel to Strikers. I think that from what the director said, it seems like he wasn't done with the storyline.
Strikers Ultimax?
Probably, yeah, Strikers 2 or whatever you want to call it.
I wouldn't be at all surprised if we basically got Persona 5 Strikers Royal, if that makes any sense. Like, because I've actually been very surprised that Strikers does not have any. Well, I know it has like soundtrack or whatever. There's no DLC. That actually really surprised me. Because like Musou games usually have DLC, and a lot of the recent Persona games have had DLC. A little too much DLC. So the fact that Strikers didn't really have any was actually like very surprising to me. So I'm wondering if they are going to kind of do like an Ultimax or a Royal of Strikers at all.
Could you see a full-on sequel to Strikers?
And then we'll wait a year for them to release that one too.
So you're saying you could see like Persona 5 Scramble 2, or
like,
yeah.
Well, yeah. So I mean that would be my preference. I would rather see less Royal and more Ultimax, if that makes any sense. But I would not be surprised either way, I guess is kind of what I'm saying. Like I don't know. It's like I could maybe see them just doing here's Royal, but with the equivalent of a third semester almost, versus here's an actual sequel like we got with Ultimax.
This is gonna sound weird. If we had to choose one spin-off game that we were to have after this one, I would, and this is probably going to get a lot of hate, but I really want them to try their hand again at Persona 5 Dancing and incorporate 4 and 3 into that, because they half-assed Persona 5 and Persona 3 Dancing.
They really did.
Yeah, I would really like for them to put full-on effort into a Persona 5 dancing game that crosses over between the other series. But that's just me. It kind of be like a Persona Q game for the dancing, or maybe we could have a Q2 sequel, but I really want them to try their hand at that because I love the dancing game so much. But what about you guys? What is your ultimate, like, if they had to make a game that's not Strikers 2, we could scratch that from the record books, what would you want it to be?
I would love I mean, maybe Strikers is this a little bit. Again, I've only played the demo, but it's like, I want like a 3D platformer, like a Banjo-Kazooie style collect-a-thon of just like exploring, not necessarily palaces, because whatever the equivalent would be, just collecting treasure and just like, I love the idea of like, I don't know. I'm just a big fan of 3D platformers, so I think that would be like, I used to joke that like Mona is basically like a 3D a mascot platformer to me. Like you could have like almost a prequel or something starring him running through different palaces and just jumping and climbing and doing whatever.
Wait a second, wasn't the fan game Made in Dreams a Morgana platformer?
Very possible.
Oh, it was. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I haven't seen that, but it does not. It does not surprise me that someone.
Send me that link, David. Send me that link.
I'm gonna pull that out real quick.
Kuro.
Yeah, I personally would like to see a Persona Tactics game, kind of like Fire Emblem type.
That'd be cool.
I just found it. It's completely stupid.
Oh my god! Yeah, wow. Persnickety 5.
I can't wait to see it.
All right, I'm gonna watch that later. All right. You know that Morgana model actually doesn't look that bad. Like,
wait until you see it in the.
Yeah,
I'm just looking at the thumbnail. I'm like, for
oh my god,
presumably made by just an amateur in Dreams, it looks okay. But I'm sure the fact that it's called Insane Persona 5 Parody, I'm sure it's gonna look crazy in motion. But
So, Kuro, you're leaning towards like a kind of like Persona Fire Emblem crossover, or just a strategy game for your
No,
spinoff?
not a crossover. I will hate another crossover with Fire Emblem. Not because just because I don't want to be disappointed by it. No, I mean like a Persona with a Fire Emblem gameplay tactics.
just kind of that style.
Yeah, exactly. I was
Okay.
thinking more of Final Fantasy Tactics than Fire Emblem, but the same deal. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Now, so if they here's my kind of question, because like, so obviously when Three Houses came out, because it dared to have any semblance of day-to-day social simulation, everybody was like, oh, it's Fire Emblem Persona. If there was a not Fire Emblem, a Persona Tactics game, would you rather it focus just purely on like maps and tactics and strategy, or would you like it to have that kind of like social-esque aspect that we had in Three Houses? Like, do you think that would add a lot to it and help it?
I feel like that's part of the Persona experience. A Persona game isn't a Persona X game without like the social aspect that they add to the games. Because it's like half graphic novel. What's that like? That type of game. It needs some kind of. I wouldn't say the dating simulator part, but the day-to-day life. I feel like that just goes so well with Persona. I feel like that's why people play them for. Because honestly, like if you were just playing the games for the gameplay, why are you not playing a Shin Megami Tensei game? Not shitting on them or anything, just meaning any SMT game has better gameplay than Persona 5.
Ooh, there's a take right there. Is that
No, that's not a take. That's not
Shots
reality.
fired.
I only heard facts. I'm not gonna lie.
Is that going to be your Hot Take Thursday video, Kuro?
I mean, maybe I don't know. No, I already have one for next week. So
why Shin Megami Tensei's gameplay is objectively better? Just
I'm ready to all the dislikes.
I'm here for it, bro.
I
David,
didn't know it was a hot take. I really didn't know. I didn't think it was a hot take at all. I thought it was like a common knowledge.
And if you say my line's better than Persona, you're gonna get 8. It's instant.
I'm not like I'm kind of making fun a little bit. I don't necessarily disagree. I think both do different things very, very well, and I don't think it's just like to me it really is just to dust off this cliche. It's apples to oranges to me. Like they're just so different. Like Persona I see as more as this like party based kind of fluid motion, whereas with SMT I see it like especially with the press turn system, it's much more about like strategy and team building because there's only so much team building you do in especially the newer Personas because your party members just
they're streamlined. Yeah, they're literally already made and they just level up by themselves. You don't really
they level up, they have their own skill sets, but like when you have demons, you have like endless combinations for what demons you use, what moves they have, how you build your team, how you build your protagonist a little more.
Yeah, exactly,
so it's like, you know, I'm not necessarily saying one is better than the other, but I think it's like depending on what you're looking for, you'll get.
Yeah, and that's what I mean when I said like that's why Persona should remain like when we're talking about doing like a Persona Tactics. I'm like, yeah, then the social aspect of Persona is what a lot of people go for the Persona games, not necessarily the gameplay itself. And I wasn't like trying to be like, well, Shin Megami Tensei is better than Persona because of the gameplay, but I mean like, if you're playing Persona 5 for the gameplay, like the core RPG gameplay, then you should definitely play a Shin Megami Tensei game because it does it in a much intricate manner. Does that make sense?
Right.
Is that better worded?
But Kira, I really want to see that video now. You need to do it.
Oh shit! I'm not doing that video. I'm just too kind of.
Oh, that's just asking to get egged on the street.
All right, so before we wrap up, I want to get David's best crossover, or not crossover necessarily, but
Dream game. Persona 5 3
right.
genre game.
Right.
I have the boring answer because honestly,
already know it.
Only Persona 5 spin-off that I would want after Strikers is a third one, honestly, because I don't want something new again. I'm ready to move on.
Gotcha. So you want to move straight on to Persona 6?
Oh, yeah. I'd take a new SMT spin-off, honestly.
You were thinking of
dude, SMT Dancing All Night.
Dude, I'm like, why? I don't want another Persona 5 spin-off. Give me Devil Survivor 3 or, something cool like that.
Give me Tokyo Mirage Sessions dancing game. Like,
dude, hey, hot take. I'd prefer Tokyo Mirage Sessions 2 over another Persona 5 spin-off.
Facts.
Oh, that's a pretty hot.
Dude.
I think it's harder than my hot take.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if y'all have seen this on Twitter. Like yesterday, when people were talking about like direct predictions, I've been writing out just like incredibly long, detailed ideas for a Tokyo Mirage Sessions kind of Three Houses sequel, and I'm like, yeah, you choose between like modeling, acting, or singing, and like just all these plans for how this would work. Like I legitimately would love a sequel to that. I'm like completely serious. I would love that.
Hot take. But I'd rather see a Catherine sequel than have another Persona 5 spin-off.
Any day.
Hey, that's good. Yeah, I agree with that. No, to be honest with you guys, and I mentioned this on my own channel because I mentioned this a couple times. I have Persona 5 fatigue. Like at this point, I don't want any more Persona. I don't know my entire channel is modeled after Persona 5, but I'm like, I am so tired of Persona 5.
And this is not us, shitting on the game. This is not us shitting on the game, by the way, listeners. We love Persona 5. We would not be a part of this podcast if we didn't love Persona 5. But we are not shitting it on any way. It's just they're going to keep on milking it. It's basically a cash cow at this point. Atlas, it's a business at the end of the day. But I totally get what you're saying, Kuro. 100%.
Yeah, I'm burned out from it. Like, will I play? And that's a different question. Will I play another Persona 5 spin-off? Absolutely. I mean, I'll probably buy. I'll be the sucker. I'll buy the collector's edition.
At the end of the day, yeah. We all like trash on. We don't want another Persona 5 spinoff, but if Persona 5 Baseball was announced tomorrow, we'd all be buying the collector's edition.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Persona 5 Racing is my hot. Like, if there's one random spin-off that like 100% I will be like up for, it will be the Persona 5 Racing game.
I've been joking for years, like to say how long I've been doing this. I originally pitched this as a Persona 4 spinoff. I have been joking about Persona Extreme Beach Volleyball for well over a decade. Like,
bro, no. I want to see Kawakami playing beach volleyball now.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
It's a Dead or Alive type of game.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Y'all got me acting up on my own podcast right here. Damn, y'all get these thoughts in my head right quick.
All right, and on that note, Persona 5 Strikers.
and let's just go ahead and finish off right here. I think we got everyone's answer right there. But just final thoughts on Persona 5 Strikers, guys, before we end the stream right here. Any final words that you want to say about it?
Yeah, so my thing with Strikers, honestly, it is essentially what I've wanted in a Persona 5 sequel. It looks fun. I'm very excited for it. I love Sophia, I love Pythos, I love Zenkichi, and I really, really, really love Valjean. So I am genuinely excited for it. I've kind of had like little waves and dips of hype. I've talked about that. But at the end of the day, like on Tuesday when my copy arrives, I'll be at work and won't be able to play it. But I'm off Wednesday, and I am just really looking forward to playing it. Like I really am. Just no matter what bad things I have to say or how long it took to come out, I want to play it. I'm very excited to see what it brings to the table.
I felt your voice get a little griff there when you said Tuesday when my copy arrives.
Yeah.
Well, I am super hyped. I literally asked for the whole week off to play the game. Like I'm gonna stream the entire thing. I'm like super excited for it. I'm hyped. I know I talked a lot of shit through the video and everything, but at the end of the day, I'm really excited still. I still want to play it for everybody.
David?
I probably sounded a bit negative about it, but I am very excited to play it as well. We'll definitely put a lot of time in it. I mean, I love Persona 5, and I like those type of games in general, and I adored what I played of the demo. So yeah, I'm excited. It should be really fun. Can't wait to do coverage as well for the game.
I'm excited
After
too.
all the reviews are out, thank you, Atlas.
Yeah. Next time, lob us that review copy, please. I mean,
Yeah.
Not like I'm cool enough, anyways, but there's some people that deserved it for
Hey,
sure.
Atlas, give me free stuff.
At least give me a free skill.
Strange was like, I'm not even gonna shortcut it. I want free stuff.
No, like seriously, I was kind of saying this before we were. I've been doing Megaton content since 2009. I think I've deserved like one review copy.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, we are the people buying
No kidding.
multiple copies of all their games. Just
No,
saying.
no, but honestly, think about it. How many Atlas games did you indirectly sold through your content?
I know
Probably.
at least 3. At least 3.
Here we go. So you at least deserve one.
In 12 years, at least 3 games.
My roommate / cousin right now just started Persona 5 Royal the other day because of my recommendation, because I won't shut the fuck up about it. But he's like 30 hours in now. He can't put it down. He loves it.
Oh, that's great.
Yay.
And it's a beautiful thing. And you know what else is a beautiful thing, guys? The fact that we got this podcast done. I'm so happy. I think it turned out really well. I want to thank all 3 of you, David, John, Kuro. Thank you so much for being on here, especially at last minute.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. This was fun.
Oh,
yeah, it was pretty fun. Thank you.
It was a lot of fun. I just have the final words to say. SMT5 2021, baby.
No. We ain't ending it on that note, David. We're ending it on SMT5 2022, baby.
That's the thing to lie to your viewers. I wouldn't do it if I were you.
Anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining the podcast, and hope to see you guys again soon for episode 2. We got a lot of stuff planned, so just keep in touch with the channel, and we'll see you guys later. King?
Bye-bye, everyone.
King out.